she loses some of her momentum as a result. If you look at some footage of, say, Lucy Charles-Barclay, you'll see that she keeps that hand in motion really nicely. In this video, we're looking at a triathlete called Nicole, and she does mostly sprint distance triathlons. She's currently stuck at a 1:28 pace per 100 for those events, and she's wondering what she can do to get faster and to continue to get those times down to sub 1:25 and beyond that. Now, as we watch Nicole's from here, she does a lot really well. Now, if we have a look at her catch, both arms, she does a great job with her catch. And that can be one of the things that takes the most time to develop. But you can see here, we've got, if we draw that line from the shoulder to the fingers, the elbow's above that. So that is a high elbow catch position where she's got this big paddle that she can push back with. And that's what's going to move her forwards. So she's doing a really good job with that. We can also see with her kick that she's got this nice, toes pointed, heels breaking the surface most of the time there, which is quite good. And it's timed quite nicely as well. So she does a great job with her kick. Same for her rotation, this nice, pretty balanced, even rotation side to side, where she's not going too far. She's rotating to more like 30 to 40 degrees, which is where we want to be. So I think her rotation looks really good as well. You'll also notice that her hand entry is directly in line with her shoulder each time. So we call that swimming on train tracks, where we want to enter in line with the shoulders and go directly forwards, which we're seeing here. So really nice work with the alignment of the stroke too. Now, there was a couple of things that stood out to me here when I was going through it and thinking, okay, how could she start to crack that 1:28 mark? The first thing I was looking at was body position. Now, she's pretty good with it, but overall, I think the head stays a bit high and the breathing position is a little bit high as well. So we can see at times, like head position there is good, but at times we do get the eyes looking a little bit far forwards there and a bit too much of the cap or the head is out of the water. And you can see what happens there, that the hips are no longer quite at the surface, they're sitting a bit below. And we get this very slight downwards angle here. So I'd encourage Nicole to look slightly further down, but just keep the head in the water a little bit more. And then this next part, this is the important one. We can see there as she turns to breathe, the top of her head's quite high. So we've got the body line here and the head coming up a little bit high at that point. And that creates a little bit more drag, but it also means that the hips and legs will drop out behind just a fraction. So I'd be looking to just maintain slightly better body position with the hips up and the heels up a little bit higher by making sure the head is deep enough and the breathing position is a little bit lower as well. Now, the difference there in the open water is going to be, look, you might need to turn a bit further to get the breath so you don't take water in, but just looking at the general lift of the head here, to me, that's just a bit high. So I'd look to keep that down a bit more if possible. The second thing that I noticed here is that when she enters the water and reaches forwards, two things are happening that's slowing her down right now. The first one is she's riding a little bit high. So once she enters the water, she enters really nicely, which is with the fingers first, which is what we want to see. Then as she extends out, there's a tendency, not so much there, but fingers do stay a little bit high there, and probably more so on this stroke here. So entry, that's good. And you'll see that that hand just stays a little bit high. So we have fingers above the wrist above the elbow. That creates additional drag underneath the arm. And you can't effectively press back if your fingers are higher than your elbow. So what I'd encourage her to do there is just go a bit deeper. Get that hand in, get it down to fingers about shoulder depth or underarm depth there a little bit sooner. So just get that hand down a little bit more. And the other part of that too is there's a bit too much of a pause with the hand in front. So we do see that the hand in front is it stops moving for 0.2 to 0.3 of a second. So when she finishes here, there's 0.2 to 0.3 of a second where she's not really moving with it. And that just causes her to decelerate and slow down, and she loses some of her momentum as a result. So if you look at some footage of say Lucy Charles-Barclay, you'll see that she keeps that hand in motion really nicely, and that's what keeps her moving. So I just encourage her to keep that hand moving in front. Now, the third thing, and to me this is going to be one of the key ones, if we have a look at her stroke rate, in this footage at least, it's around a 60 stroke rate, so 60 individual strokes per minute, so one arm stroke per second. if this is what she'd usually have when she's racing, then she's going to have to increase that stroke rate to get faster. Just based on what I can see here in terms of size and everything like that, if she stays at that 60 rating, it would take a lot more distance per stroke to be able to get faster. So we still want to work on nice long strokes, but tempo or stroke rate is the other factor there. And I'd say for her, with where she's currently at, over the next 6 to 12 months, if she could comfortably hold a rating in the 70 to 80 strokes per minute without too much of a sacrifice of distance per stroke, that's really going to help her, especially in the open water. Because in the open water, we have to increase the rating compared to the pool. And what that usually involves is beginning the catch a bit sooner. So there's going to be less glide in front. We're going to pull through a little bit quicker as well. And sometimes we're going to increase the speed at which the hand comes over the water as well. So just in all those sort of elements there, just looking to increase the rating. And I'd say just build this up over time. Don't just go from 60 strokes a minute to 80. You're going to find you're just spinning the wheels and losing that rhythm and tempo. But over time, increasing it. And the way you can increase it is using a tempo trainer. So get a finished tempo trainer, put it in your cap, and you can set that to beep X amount of times per minute. So in her main set, she might just set that at maybe 62 or 63 strokes a minute for the next couple of weeks in her main sets that are close to race pace. Then she can just bump it up a little bit and just continue to bump that up over time. And to me, this is going to be the number one thing because she's doing a lot really well in her stroke. And to me, this is the thing that's probably just lacking a bit based on these videos here. So that's what I would look to be doing to increase the swim speed, because you can see like hold of the water, really good with the catch. So setting this catch beautifully, the palm of the hands facing behind her as well, all the way through, and finishes off really nicely close to the hip. And a similar thing on the right side as well. Nice with the catch, great position here. And then she's pressing back past the hip beautifully as well. So we want to focus on the main things. And to me, it's those couple of things. But more than anything, it's going to be that stroke rate that we want to focus in on and work on that. And if you've got high quality videos of your swimming and you'd like to be featured on an episode of Feedback Friday, like Nicole, then I'll put a link below where you can send through your videos and we'll consider you for an upcoming episode of Feedback Friday.